that people are not left out on the street or paying unaffordable rents or so-called affordable housing, which is never affordable. It's also about making sure that communities are more cohesive. People feel like they have places to go. Yeah, lots of talk of things like antisocial behaviour, but very often young people don't have places to go. We need to make sure we're investing in local youth services and ultimately role models for young people, so they've got investment in things. And then of course there's the climate and ecological crisis, making sure we're protecting our green spaces, that people still have access to clean air and that we can breathe properly.
Do you still find it about, we've now spoken for a couple of minutes, but you've spoken on a whole range of issues. Is that the sort of, over the years, over the last 10, 20 years, the Greens have matured and to be able to talk about the whole panoply of our items and policies?
Yeah, I think people know well that the Green Party really care about the environment and the planet and clean air, but actually there's no environmental justice without social, racial and economic justice too. So in terms of all of these policies, they ultimately do have an environmental record. So if you take dirty air, for instance, toxic air that people are often breathing, this is often worse in places where you have social housing or working class communities. And that's because these communities often don't have the political representation to say, we want this air clean. So ultimately everything that's environmental is also a social justice issue. We also need to make sure that we're working to change industries, and that you only have to look at Wales, where recently lots of steel workers lost those jobs. There's lots of industries where we've got to look ahead to the future and make sure we're having that just transition now so people have good jobs that are well paid.
Just a couple more questions. You're in the London Assembly.
Yeah.
One of the things, I have to be careful of the language I use here, but people are very concerned that councils in London are shipping people out into Harlow but providing no infrastructure, no support, and it's almost they're getting them off their books. There's lots of councils who are name-checked in this, because this is a very carefully planned town that infrastructure and socialisation is so important. Is that a concern to you?
Yeah, it's a real issue that ultimately people often get scapegoated. This can happen with migrants and refugees as well. I think we need to be really clear that the problem here is infrastructure, that actually people's fears are often very real, but it's not about the people. The fear is getting a doctor's appointment, good luck getting a dentist, making sure there's transport is affordable and accessible. Actually, all of these things need to be in place, and they often are. Now, I think once you've got these things in place, there's always an argument to be able to house people, particularly the most vulnerable people. But you've got to have the infrastructure in place, otherwise that keeps exacerbating community tensions.
Finally, there's good people behind you. We're waiting to go.
Audience.
Knocking on doors, people open the doors, politicians make it all the same. How do you respond?
It's always heartbreaking to hear that people feel like politics won't change things. Very often that is the broken first past the post voting system. That means people's votes have not made a difference. However, we've seen all across the country that we've quadrupled our number of seats in the last 4 years. And people can see, even under the first past the post system, Greens can and do win. And we do that by making sure we're around all year round. We're knocking on doors exactly as we're going to do today. Not knocking just for people's votes, although that is important, but actually knocking to listen to people, to find out what they care about. It's a pretty easy formula that once you know what people care about and you have the solutions to that, making sure you're communicating that message means that you can expect to see Greens continuing to win more and more as the years go by.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.